Good evening, and welcome to the San Carlos Apache College's 2021 Commencement Exercises. I am Trena Thompson, and I will be the Mistress of Ceremonies for tonight's exercise. Big thank you to the Globe Miami Centennial Band for providing music this evening. At this time, I would like to remain standing and remove your headgear, any headgear, for the posting of colors by the San Carlos Veterans Association, followed by Deidre Antonio, who will sing the national anthem.
All time. Mark. Mark time. Mark. Halt. Left face. Freeze there. Out.
At this time, I will give the invocation. Bik'elnan Chata Kuhlen Kai Wala Istana DE Natu Sin Ye Biye Jeras Kai Wala the Joe Tla Bichagashara Li Tla Naraizi Tla Bigo 1 Teo ara yelsi. The waha ye na ra kainde na tsusi ye jeras kai wala. I biga bedauntly. I biga bekerantse. The nijo okai no das slan ebe bekerantse wala the jio. The San Carlos Apache College. Be president, be staff, be teachers. Patten benan let. Benan no let kore stio. This tanahe do the nasio nighty ye can't tie da you he thou cut than see you he benan no let, be dustin zero let. Tell. The wahapa send let do let. The knee de be a tea be ye nai kai be ye down clean. No kai dabin set no dust the slow a right team will not wa. Go here down sleep knee. Big out non shata. Go the G L. Na fuachten o less. All. Amen.
Return. March.
Thank you to the San Carlos Veteran Association for your participation in tonight's ceremony, as well as to Miss Deidre for singing the national anthem so beautifully. Thank you. Tonight's opening remarks will be provided by Mr. Alex Ritchie, Attorney General for the San Carlos Apache Tribe.
Good afternoon. It's good to see you all here. We are all here to celebrate the class of 2021. For those graduates, this is something that only you could have done. It's not something your books could do. It's not something your professors could do. It's not something your family could do. It's something that only you can do. Education is a lens. It's a lens by which you can see the world. When I grew up in high school, I didn't realize what education was all about. It was being a star athlete, fighting, getting in trouble, going to the discotheque. I was told, though, by my grandfather, you know, education is a way of seeing the world. The world for me was fights, brawls, sleeping through class. At 17, I ran away from home to see the world. I got as far as Hawaii because I didn't have a passport. I was a dishwasher. From there, I ended up in San Francisco because someone in San Francisco, I used to surf, he said, go to San Francisco. It's where you can see the world. I got to San Francisco. I was still a dishwasher. I did a job as a bank teller, and one day a guy put a gun in front of me. I didn't see it. I said, I'm closed. And he went to the lady next to me, and he robbed her. We both fainted. It wasn't until I got to the City College of San Francisco that I took my first college course. And the reason I did it was not to get an education. It was I was kind of bored. I was 23. I'd been out of school for 5-6 years. And the courses I took, I began to see the world. I read Nelson Mandela, Zora Neale Hurston, Black Elk Speaks, and countless authors. And all of a sudden, it became apparent to me, education is about seeing the world and what you can do in the world. What your place is in the world. How you, as a student, relate to the world. And all those skills that you learn, what can you do with them? My voyage took me from City College of San Francisco to Oglala Lakota College, University of Illinois, Brooklyn College, Hunter College, Pratt Institute. That was just for my BA. And that took me 6 years. And I had 3 jobs all the time, but I was going to school full time. Why? Because I had never heard these things before. I had never read these things before. History, social sciences, physics. One of my favorite teachers was a physics professor. What is my degree in? Art history. I have enough credits to get 3 other degrees: fine arts, political science, and comparative literature. But I just couldn't do that extra year. Instead, I had this idea I was going to become an architect. But they wanted too much. They wanted a portfolio. They wanted all these references. So I went to the University of Chicago to study economics for graduate school. That was painful. Mainly because, and I don't mean to disparage our conservative and Republican brothers and sisters, but it is the most conservative school in the country. And they're also responsible for the third world debt as we know it. And things like supply-side economics and the Laffer curve. But I survived. And I went on to advise Mayor Harold Washington in Chicago, Mayor Ed Koch in New York City, and then Dave Dinkins. And that's where I met Donald Trump. And I can tell you his hands are small and they're clammy, and he is obnoxious. The deal was that he wanted for the city to pay him $1 billion, and he would get Yankee Stadium. And his joke was he got off the plane with George Steinbrenner, who owns the Yankees, and Lou Fugazi, who was mafia, and he owned all the limousines in New York City. And Trump says, I just got off the plane. It's George's plane. It's smaller than mine. That's when I learned what obnoxious was. Anyway, but I still was not quite happy with all the skills that I had. And I at the time, was married to an IHS doc. And I went back to South Dakota, to Pine Ridge. And I worked at Oglala Lakota College this time as a professor and as a lecturer in economics. And I loved it. It was a way of communicating what I knew, what I had learned. And seeing you graduates here, you have the same faces as those students. Eager, ready, looking for opportunity, and filled with hope. The reason I became a lawyer is one of my students was the brightest in economics. And one day he apparently went hitchhiking, got into a car with 3 friends, and they had drugs and cash and weapons. And he was the brightest student. He had 2 jobs. I had started a family. He was a church-going person, and he also went to Sundance. Because he was on probation, he ended up doing 10 years. And I wrote, I wrote a letter to the judge, and I told him about this young man and how he had hope and opportunity. I asked the judge, consider what he's done, not the people he was associated. And his crime was really being in the car. But in South Dakota, like all things, it's being in the car. You have to prove otherwise, and he couldn't. He got 10 years. And my associate at the time is Robert Gray Eagle, who was the chief judge for the tribe, and he was also vice president for student affairs. And I was just destroyed by this. And Robert said, become a lawyer. And I was like, that's a good idea. I don't know. It was hard. It was painful. And as you know, right, reading those books, reading those articles, preparing for those exams, writing those essays, those papers, it's a soul task. It's only something you can do. But I survived. And, I've been a lawyer ever since. And happily, I worked for Tohono Nation. I've worked for St. Carlos. I worked for Titla and Parsi. And unfortunately, I was going to try and read something from Nelson Mandela about education, but the iPad failed. But Nelson Mandela, a lot of people don't really see Africans for what and who they are. A lot of them, most of them, all of them probably, are tribal members. They come from tribes. Nelson Mandela, he came from and I can't pronounce it, but it's something along the lines of Xhosa and it's Sohsa. And he ended up becoming the president of the country. And he said the only way to gain self-determination, self-governance, is through education. It's seizing the power of the state through education. And he spent 30 years in jail, but he became the president of the country. And in the 10 years I've been here, this college is a new thing. We had relied on Eastern Arizona College over there, and Gila Community College, and some have gone to ASU, right? Sun Devils, go Sun Devils. U of A, Wildcats, go Wildcats. But this is the Tribes College, by and for Apaches. And you, the graduating class of 2021, you are young, you are gifted, and you are Apache. The world is at your feet. You can take control of your destiny and even the tribes. One day, one of you, could be one of you, can take my job. I hope so. One of you could write the next great American novel. One of you could be that teacher that someone else can look up to help them get the education that you have. That's the power of education, and that's how you can see the world. That's how you can seize the world. And that's an incredible thing. And so we're not just celebrating the 2021 graduating class, we're celebrating the San Carlos Apache College. In the 10 years I've been here, the tribe has grown from like 1,200 employees between the government and the casino and some of the other enterprises. There are now 2,500 employees. The tribe employs more people than Gila County. The tribe employs more people than Graham County. The tribe has an operating budget of I think it's 35 million now. The hospital has an operating budget of like 130 million. That's almost $250 million, more than $250 million in revenues. The tribe's payroll totals about 130 million, together with all the enterprises. The tribe has become not just a bastion of, the Apache way, Apache culture, Apache tradition. These are important. But now the tribe is the center of an economy. The tribe is an employer like no other in the area. The tribe has become a force. That's amazing. And the tribe is diversified. It's gone from the casino and the hotel to the hospital. One of the reasons I'm here today is, as a lawyer, I wrote the Articles of Incorporation and the bylaws for both the college and the healthcare. And that's another expression of self-determination and self-governance. Tribe hired me to get those things done. I'm just a stepping stone. But you, the graduating class of 2021, you're going to carry the baton. You guys can become leaders. You guys can go for that master's. Don't stop with this degree. You guys can get that PhD. You can get 2 PhDs if you really want to. You may ask yourself, why? 11 years I was asking myself, why? And those are my thoughts for today as I was coming up here from work. And I wish you the best of luck. I really do. This is your moment, and I wish you the best. And everybody give them a round of applause for our graduating class and the San Carlos Apache College for producing you. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to reiterate, graduates, you are young, you are gifted, and you are Apache. Take your place in the world, looking for opportunity, and your future will be filled with hope. Thank you, Mr. Alex Ritchie, for your opening remarks. We certainly appreciate it. Next, we have Ms. Roberta Patten, Vice Chair of the San Carlos Apache College Board of Regents, with a welcome message.
I know she did that on purpose. Let me see if I can move this a little bit. All right, welcome everyone this evening to a very grand and wonderful event, especially for San Carlos. We've been long waiting for this dream to come true for us. Being an educator as a career, I'm very proud of the 4 students that are graduating today. But that does not only extend to them. The rest of you sitting in the audience, the people in the band, you all have that capability to pursue and attain whatever goals you have in store for yourself. And that's Mr. Ritchie, did you say you had your doctorates? Okay. I echo everything that you said in your presentation. Very well done. In my welcome address, thank you to the Globe Miami Centennial Band for being here. Awesome music, very nice to sit and listen to, and such a pleasant surrounding as we are in tonight. Any dignitaries here from our council, from the tribal cabinet, thank you for attending. I want to welcome the staff, the bloodline of our college that are there to motivate, encourage, and support students that come into the classroom, that come onto the campus without even expressing their needs. And I'm sure, as an educator, I know that you guys read between the lines. So thank you and welcome to tonight's activities. The staff, the teachers, thank you for being here. I welcome you to this activity. You know that this is kind of like a big party for us, because this is what we're headed to. This is what we want to happen. We wait for the moment when we can see a student come up and accept a diploma. So I know everyone is happy to be here, I myself included. Before I do end the welcome address, I would like to say Trena Antonio, Michelle Bartlett, Nadia Logan, and Carmela Thompson, you are utmostly welcome to this ceremony tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of our dream.
Thank you, Roberta. And capability, we all are capable, from the message from Miss Patten. Want to recognize one of our council who's here today. Would you please stand? Miss Barbara May from Gilson Wash. Woohoo! I'm glad she's here. Okay, now would like to welcome San Carlos Apache College President Dr. Martin Ahumada to share his presidential remarks, and who will also introduce the guest speaker for this 2021 commencement exercise.
Thank you, Durena. What a beautiful evening. Thank you, God, for this beautiful evening. Ahia Yusen. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Deidre. What a beautiful contribution you have made to this special evening. I want to thank all of you for joining us this evening to celebrate the first in-person commencement ceremony of San Carlos Apache College. I am particularly grateful to and proud of the 4 of you graduating students, Trena Antonio, Michelle Bartlett, Carmela Thompson, and Nadia Logan,
for making this memorable occasion possible. Please live in this moment. It is your moment. And ponder how blessed you are to have your family and friends here today. They made the time and effort, perhaps at a huge sacrifice, to join you in celebrating your graduation from our college. Our amazing faculty, staff, and regents joined them and me in dedicating this evening entirely to you. You are where you are because of the choices you have made to this point. You made the wise choice of pursuing your studies at San Carlos Apache College. You chose well, of course, just being objective. You also made a choice to persevere against all odds. And we know about what you went through in your studies with us. And this choice has given your life both meaning and purpose. I applaud you for choosing us to be your partner in what I hope will be a lifelong process of self-discovery, of being able and willing to free yourselves from the limitations and barriers that other people in the world will always attempt to impose on you. Free yourself from that. I want to encourage you to never fear making your own choices about what is most important to you in life. It will make you happier. It will make you more successful and peaceful, and better at knowing how and when to reinvent yourself. It will put you in charge of your life and your career. It will enable you to find your own voice, to speak your own truth, to find yourself always doing the work or the job you really love, and to be continuously writing your very own story, with total freedom to choose or invent the words and the images that best describe who you are and who you choose to be. Choose to leave a lasting mark in this world, whereas other people in the world can and will choose to be selfish, vindictive, arrogant, bigoted, and even violent. We ourselves possess the power to choose to be different, to be forgiving, to be selfless, to have a purpose or a calling in life, and to be kind to others. Because you possess the power to make your own choices, I hope you will rise up every day you live and choose to perform small and large acts of kindness. Do this knowing that even the smallest of gestures can change lives in ways we never thought were possible. Be the first to extend a helping hand to a fellow human being in desperate need, or feeling totally abandoned in a world that keeps growing colder, more fragile, and more dangerous. Be the first to congratulate a friend, a relative, or a coworker who gets a new job, a well-earned promotion, or a special award. In tribute to the values of our college, values that we want to hang on to and keep promoting. This will be your alma mater. So in tribute to the values, please go forward and choose to perform acts of kindness throughout the rest of your life. Trena, Michelle, Carmela, and Nadia, I hope you will always remember San Carlos Apache College as a place where you discovered some larger truths about who you can be. Much the way Alex pointed that out to you, you can be anything you want to be, and it all started here, and you're well on your way. I hope you will remember our college fondly and proudly as the place where you learn there is nothing more beautiful, more worthwhile than doing everything in your power to make the world a better place. You can and must choose to do this. You are free to embrace the power and beauty of choice. Take that concept with you. Many years down the road, you can then look back at your life and know deep inside that you fought the good fight, you ran the good race, and you made a real difference in the world. Congratulations, Trena, Michelle, Carmela, and Nadia, for a job so well done. I'm very proud of you. Now I have the distinct pleasure of introducing the keynote speaker for today. And I must say that, I would need several hours to do justice to the pioneering career and job this gentleman has had. there are probably 25 to 50 individuals still alive in the world, or at least in America, who have done the things he has done. And I would know our paths have crossed in many ways throughout the country. And we were just delighted to know that he was able and willing to serve as the keynote speaker. Let me start with, because teaching goes to the heart of a college, the teaching learning mission, I want to speak to his faculty role. He served as a faculty member at Essex Community College, the University of Maryland, Iowa State University, the University of Denver, Johns Hopkins University, and now ASU, where he is a professor of practice in the wonderful new division of educational leadership and innovation. His administrative or leadership experience is extraordinary, and I'm just going to give you a little taste of it. For 16 years, Dr. Albert served as the vice president of the American Association for Higher Education in Washington, D.C. This is a major think tank policy organization that influences higher education throughout the country, and he was very influential in that national role. Among his leadership gifts, he has been the Vice President of Educational Services with San Jose Evergreen Community College District, one of the major districts in the country, by the way. He was there, I think, 5 years. And then he served as the President of the Pima Community College West Campus. I think it was for 16 years. That's the third largest community college district in the United States. And he was known for being one of the most ethical, stable, brilliant presidents of any of those campuses. So he left his mark. He also let me say a little bit about his degrees. We're going to move forward. Dr. Albert earned his BS in biology from Loyola University in Maryland, and then a master's in zoology, a PhD in higher education administration, also from the University of Maryland. He's done some extraordinary things around the world, which I wanted that global perspective, because one of the things we want for all of you, and we want all our students, is to be global citizens, anchored in Apache values, Apache thought, your culture, but also being active global citizens. Dr. Albert was awarded a Doctor of Humane Letters from Cuttington University in the West African nation of Liberia for his service on the board of Cuttington in Exile, an organization that worked to keep Cuttington University intact throughout the horrible civil war that occurred in Liberia in the 1990s. He's also led delegations to other countries in Africa, Ghana being one of them, Zimbabwe, and also South Africa. And he was there, of course, right just shortly before Nelson Mandela was released from prison. So this is the kind of individual that we have the privilege of speaking to you. He brings that global perspective. He's done it all. And it is a privilege now to call you up. Dr. Albert, Louis Albert, come up and
those are reading desks.
yes.
Yes.
We share a lot.
You wouldn't hear a word from me if I didn't have these glasses in my hand. It's getting dark. But let me go and do my thing.
Oh, he lost his mask, so it's amazing. Yeah, it's a little away from fascinating.
No.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ahumada, for those incredible and gracious remarks. I really appreciate that. And I'm not sure I've ever heard that done quite the way you've done it, but to the graduates, I hope that was meaningful to you. And to be specific, ever since I've known your president, I continue to be amazed about how our educational paths in higher education, we've never met until 3 years ago, but how our educational paths in higher education have crossed over the past 40 plus years all over the United States. And then tonight, we realize we probably have some things in common in other countries around the world. So here we are crossing paths again with San Carlos Apache College's historic journey
and the celebration of the college's first ever in-person commencement ceremony. I am thrilled to be here for that alone, so thank you for having me. And Attorney General Ritchie, it's a privilege for me to be here with you and members of the Tribal Council this evening, leaders who have long understood the unique value and far-reaching impact of tribal college education. I applaud all of you for having the vision, the passion, and the commitment in 2014 to create the charter that established the San Carlos Apache College. So it's good to see you tonight, even though we haven't met personally. Anybody who was involved in writing that charter, that's not an easy thing to do, and I really commend you for that. But now let me speak to the four women in front of me: Michelle, Bartlett, Carmela Thompson, Nadia Logan, Trena Antonio. Congratulations on the credentials you are about to receive from your college. You are outstanding. I've read your bios, and you are all outstanding examples of women who are lifelong learners, women who are spouses and mothers, women who are caregivers for your parents, your grandparents, women who are working, women who are proud members of the San Carlos Apache tribe. And you're also college students with a purpose, and the earlier speakers spoke about that directly. That's awesome. It's really awesome what you've done if you think about the things you had to overcome to get here tonight, and you're going to go on, all of you, I'm sure, with your educations. Your Mistress of Ceremonies this evening, Durena Thompson, shares that sense of purpose with the four of you. Mrs. Thompson is a talented educational professional and leader, a woman with whom I've had the privilege of sharing some ideas when she was a member of this college's Board of Regents, so it's good to see you again, Durena. In the program, she writes, "Our life's journey never ends, and at my age, I still have goals to become a superintendent or a college president. I'm sure you all have goals as well, and they will morph over the years. They'll change from one thing to another, but keep on keeping on, because you never know where you're going to go with further education." In that spirit, one of you wrote, "It's never too late to get an education, and you're never too old to learn something new." Well, all of you know that as well. And let me just say, I understand that because I'm someone who earned my last degree, my doctoral degree from the University of Maryland at the age of 40. So personally, I know that it's never too late to get that education. And by that time, I had 2 children and lots of other things going on in my life, but that was something I had a passion about, and I followed that passion. It's a privilege for me to be here with the 4 of you this evening. Now, I'm not going to be the last to mention Nelson Mandela, but I have these remarks. I was there, as Dr. Ahumada said, in late 1989, just as apartheid was coming to an end. And he's one of my idols in life. I quote him often. One of my favorite of his statements was, he said that the most important weapon you can use to change the world is education. And I couldn't agree more with President Mandela. In the spirit of Mandela's view of the connection between education and change, each of you is already a change agent. Again, I read your bios. I know what you've been working on in your lives up to this point. With the degree and certificates you are receiving this evening, each of you is on your way to being an even stronger change agent for the San Carlos Apache tribe, for the state of Arizona, for the United States, and indeed, as Mandela put it, for the world. Michelle, Carmela, Nadia, and Trena, we are here this evening to honor your commitment to learning and to honor the hard work that brought you to this point. You have many reasons to be proud of your accomplishments, and I know other special people in your lives, many of them sitting out in this audience, share that pride. Because, again, as I read your bios, you're not just like any other graduates. Your children, your spouses, your parents and grandparents, and other members of your families and your friends are proud of you. The San Carlos Apache College faculty, staff, and administration are proud of you. The members of the San Carlos Apache College Board of Regents are proud of you. And the San Carlos Apache tribe is proud of you. There's a lot of people out there who've been rooting for you to this point, and they're going to continue to be rooting for you as you move forward. As I mentioned briefly, in 2014, the San Carlos Apache Tribal Council had the vision, passion, and commitment and wisdom to start a new college. They understood the connection between higher education and community building, and acting on that vision, as I've already mentioned, they crafted a charter and approved the creation of the college through that charter. They appointed a Board of Regents. The Board of Regents appointed Dr. Martin Ahumada as your president, a recognized leader, scholar, and teacher at the institutional, state, national, and international levels. And Dr. Ahumada assembled faculty and staff and a leadership team, beginning with your provost, Dr. Lisa Yutzi, who is, as I think all of you graduates know, all of you wrote about her, an outstanding academic leader. And as a result of that bold vision by tribal leaders, the college entered into a unique partnership with the Trena Antonio Community College that enables each of you to earn recognized and transferable college credits. It sounds like just an administrative fact, a partnership between actually two tribes, but also between two colleges, and it's not heard of. There's not a lot of that going on in the country. What's important about that partnership is that most startup colleges take us up to a decade to offer programs and services and credits, but this college started offering credits and programs in 2017, just 4 months after hiring its first president, provost, and faculty. It's an unheard of story, and it's quite remarkable. Two other points. As a result of that bold vision by tribal leaders, you are now part of the second class of graduates to receive credentials from the college. As a result of that bold vision by tribal leaders, the San Carlos Apache College has become Arizona's newest college and America's youngest tribal college at this point. You are to put it to a different way, there are tribal colleges and universities. You are the youngest tribal higher education institution. Again, quite a point of pride. And finally, as a result of that bold vision by tribal leaders, the San Carlos Apache College will soon be prepared to apply for candidacy to become an independently accredited college, which will be a tribute to this tribe and to this state, and actually, because there are only 37 tribal colleges in the country, to our nation. As Mandela observed, learning is indeed the most powerful thing we can do to change the world. My message to you tonight is going to be kind of brief, but it's about the transformative power of learning for both individuals and for society. I'm going to speak with you briefly about learning as a lifelong commitment. All of you have made that commitment. About learning and being a productive member of the workforce. About learning and responsible democratic citizenship. And about learning and service to your community. So let me start with the lifelong learning. That is a commitment I share with you. Most educated people who've been around as long as I share that commitment. So Michelle, Carmela, Nadia, and Trena, this is certainly not going to be your last commencement. 3 of you actually wrote about completing your programs of study and getting the degree in social work next year. But to that end, those of you who are receiving certificates in social work and who is receiving a degree in liberal arts, let me just quote some of the things that you said to make the point that this is not going to be your last stop along the way. One of you wrote, "I hope to continue on to receive my associate's degree in social work. Now, completing my certificate program," another one of you wrote, "I find myself anxious to continue on to the associate degree." Another of you wrote, "After I graduate with my certificate in social work, I plan to take more classes and earn my associate degree in social work in 2022. Those are lofty goals, and I know every one of you is going to achieve those goals. And Trena, you're the recipient of the Associate of Arts degree in Liberal Arts. And the degree that you are receiving tonight, you can do that again if you want. The degree that you are receiving tonight can only make you a more effective teacher, a more effective minister, and a more effective member of this tribe, this San Carlos Apache tribal gathering. I can't wait to hear about where your educational journey takes you next, but let's stay in touch. I'll be staying in touch with your leadership here at the college, and I'm sure I'll hear more about you as the years go on. But let me end this part of my remarks on a very personal note. I want all of you to know that your experiences as lifelong learners are indeed close to my heart, because each of you, in your own way, reminds me of my mother, who's been gone for a long time now. But she, like you, was a lifelong learner. Especially like you, Trena, she earned an Associate of Arts in Liberal Arts from a community college in Maryland. I'll tell you more about that in just a second. But she was born in western Ukraine in 1912. My grandmother brought my mother and her 2 brothers to the United States in 1919, shortly after the horrors of World War I. They had no money. None of them spoke English. The 2 brothers, my uncles, became lawyers. One even became mayor of Baltimore. Think about where he was born. But like many women in the 1920s and 1930s, my mother didn't go to college right after high school. She wanted to, but the prevailing culture regarding women provided few incentives for her to ever become a college student. Sadly, that was just the way women were thought of during those decades. Despite not going to college, she was a dedicated, lifelong learner who became English proficient less than a year after immigrating from Eastern Europe. She was an avid reader who every day devoured news and history and biographies and novels and plays. She was politically astute and worked actively on local political campaigns, and she was a volunteer. She gave back to her community, even though it was an adopted community when she got to the United States. Still, throughout her life, and I'm going to close with this, like the four of you, she dreamed of being a college student, acting on her deferred dream in her mid-60s. You're never too old to learn, one of you wrote. She started taking courses at a place called Catonsville Community College outside of Baltimore, Maryland, and graduated 3 years later, Trena, with the same degree you're graduating with tonight, an Associate of Arts and degree, an Associate of Arts degree in Liberal Arts, and she also had a 3.8 grade point average. So, throughout my 6 decades in higher education, I've approached my work, to be honest with you, as a high calling. A calling that started with the values my mother modeled for me as a lifelong learner, even before she went to college. We talked briefly about learning and becoming part of an educated workforce. That connection between learning, workforce development, and economic development was certainly on the minds of the San Carlos Apache Tribal Council members when they decided to create a college here in San Carlos. You heard briefly from Attorney General Ritchie about the status of employment here in this part of Arizona. Larger than most of the surrounding counties, that's an amazing. But that's because a long time ago, people who were in leadership roles here with the San Carlos Apache tribe understood that education and workforce development go hand in hand. So, Michelle and Carmela and Nadia and Trena, you certainly understand that as well. You've all been working adults. The work you are currently doing is contributing to the health and vitality of the San Carlos Apache tribe. The work you will be doing as you acquire additional formal education can only deepen your impact on this community, not to mention your ability to support your families. And whatever your line of work is in the future, as you have already experienced, work is yet another way you will be growing as lifelong learners. By the way, the wind is turning my pages from since the, I haven't put your glasses on yet, Martina, so don't need any disinfectant. Since the early 90s, I'm now going to talk to you about citizenship and learning. Since the early 90s, colleges and universities have become more intentional about graduating students who are not only productive workers, but also engaged citizens of a democratic society. Attorney General Ritchie alluded to this. As engaged citizens, some of you will have the opportunity to serve society as elected officials, maybe even through service on your tribal council. You already have 3 dedicated women on your tribal council, and you can certainly help grow that number in future years. So think about that as a possible life path. As educated citizens, whether or not you run for office, you will be influencing local and national politics through the power of your vote. As educated citizens, many of you will engage in citizen-led initiatives like expanding access to the voting process, or increasing support for public education, or combating global warming and addressing the perils of climate change, or championing racial and other forms of social injustice, and so much more. Of course, as is the case with workforce development, the key to effective citizen engagement is your continued commitment to lifelong learning. Finally, let me end with a little bit about the relationship between learning and service to your community. In addition to thinking of learning as a lifelong commitment, in addition to the connection between learning and workforce development, in addition to learning as part of being an engaged democratic citizen, I also encourage you to find ways to use your education to give back to your community. Through voluntary service, as you continue to give freely and selflessly of your time and talent to make your community safer, more prosperous, more beautiful, and so much more. Through fiscal and other forms of support for charitable agencies, both as a donor and as a fundraiser. Through participation in community activities aimed at improving societal health, safety, and the overall quality of life in your community. As one of you actually wrote in so many words, my interests are in giving back to my people, the San Carlos Apache tribe. I commend you for that. I know that to be true, actually, of all of you. I encourage you to use your college education to continue to make a difference through service to your community. This commencement is indeed another of life's new beginnings, and learning is at the core of what we're celebrating today. In that spirit, I urge each of you to continue to be a lifelong learner, continue to learn as a member of the workforce of tomorrow, continue to learn as an engaged citizen, and especially continue to learn as you give back to your community. In closing, I want to share two of my favorite quotes about the power of learning. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever." And finally, there is this, one of my favorites. It's an unattributed ancient Chinese proverb about the transformational power of learning. It goes like this: if you are planning for a year, plant rice. If you are planning for a decade, plant trees. If you're planning for a lifetime, educate people. Michelle, Carmela, Nadia, and Trena, congratulations again. This is a special night, and I'm proud to be here with you.
Thank you. From Dr. Ahumada, his message, and that I took notes. You are who you are because the choices you made. Make the choice to make the world a better place, graduates. From Dr. Albert, make a commitment to lifelong learning and be the change agents to make your world a better place. Thank you, Dr. Ahumada and Dr. Albert for your message. Next we have may I profoundly introduce Miss Trena Antonio, who is the student speaker for this commencement exercise. Trena?
Good evening. It just dawned on me as I was sitting here. My first class I ever took was in 2018 was speech class, and I always thought to myself, when am I going to ever do a speech anyway? And then when I was told that I was going to be the student speaker, I thought to myself, I thought I was done writing essays and speech. But I'm honored to be here this evening. Dahqodiyot, Bagaju. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us be glad in it. She, Trena Antonio, said, my name is Trena Antonio, and I am a proud resident of the San Carlos Apache Reservation and a humble graduate of San Carlos Apache College. It's an honor to stand before you this evening, and I'd like to thank my Heavenly Father for making this night possible. I would like to take a few minutes of your time and share with you about how a thought can lead you to success. First of all, thoughts float around in your minds all day long. Thoughts that sometimes flash like a bolt of lightning, or it may linger for days. Some make sense and others do not make sense at all. You see, thoughts are powerful. From the moment we wake up until we lay our head to rest, we are always in thoughts. For example, what shall I eat? Or what am I going to wear? What's for lunch? Or what's for dinner? Even right now, you're thinking, I wonder how long she will take. Also in the middle of the night, a rouse of your thoughts. It's already there. Optimistically, pessimistically, everything in between our thoughts are filled with such ideas, concepts, and opinions and perceptions. Our thoughts are everywhere. It is accompanied by thinking, contemplating, or consideration, which concludes with a positive or a negative action. As our thoughts are triggered, over 4 billion of electromagnetic waves guide our emotion and affect our behavior. Thanks to a devoted biology and psychology instructor of St. Carlos Apache College, I'm able to make this statement. Okay, which leads us to why we are here tonight. For us graduates here this evening, it was merely a thought that oriented us all to enroll in this college. We acted on this small, tiny, yet the most important thought that guided through our minds. Shall I attend St. Carlos Apache College? Your brain waves were illuminated with billions of chemical surges which caused you to take action with yes. I'm going to enroll at the college. And so it began for us all. Well, my story began with a simple idea I had about filling up time during my summer break in 2018. I was just finishing up work to start summer break, having to drive by the college every day to get home. I glanced at the college and thought to myself, I wonder if I should take class just to keep me busy while I'm on my time off. Well, my thought led me through those doors, and I was greeted courteously by Dahqodiyot. She offered me tons of papers. Well, not really. But she was thoughtful in guiding me through the process of enrollment because I was to be a working student. A few minutes with her made me confident, and I reassured myself that I could be a student. At that moment, I knew St. Carlos College would be the school for me. St. Carlos Apache College and its faculty would pilot my new journey to make my thought a reality. Thank you. I decided to major in liberal arts because that degree would help me transfer to a university in the future, which I'm planning on. So what helped my thoughts to become a reality? I called the esteemed staff and faculty of the St. Carlos Apache College the heartbeat of my education. Why? Because they guided me through my drowning emotion filled with negative thoughts about not being ready or prepared. They taught me that sometimes negative thoughts of giving up come so strong like a hurricane, but that sudden burst of wind will cease. In other words, go home, take some time to think it over, and get back with me in a couple of days, and let's see what you decide. These were the advice given to me by Dr. Lisa Yutsi, thank you, and Carrie Neptune many times. I've also learned to respect my Apache culture and tradition. The incredible knowledge shared by Mr. Marcus Maktima allowed me to realize and know where I came from and the perseverance of our Apache people. I've learned about Apache warriors whose thoughts were for a prosperous future. Today, our community is filled with many opportunities, and St. Carlos Apache College is one of them. And I can't leave this woman out of my speech tonight, my Apache language instructor. Miss Kathy Kitchian. There she is. She introduced my Apache language in a new perspective. I always thought speaking the Apache language was good enough for me. I could have spoke to all of you in Apache tonight. None of you would have heard what I said. But she taught me the writing of my language. Now I have a passion to read and write in my own language. If I could just write a hyperbolical Apache book, maybe someday. The instructors have given me the opportunity to expand. Learning at the college taught me to persevere, to respect and enjoy who I am. I am an Apache woman who is from the San Carlos Apache tribe, a lineage of powerful and fierce leaders. They never gave up, so should I. My fellow graduates, you acted on a thought. You chose San Carlos Apache College because of its great effort to support all who enroll. We all had our problematic moments, our joyous moments of excitement when we finished our essays and weekly quiz, and the math knowledge test, which we thought would never end. Miss Angus? By the way, here's a tip. Never think about starting your math knowledge test later in the night. A million thoughts later, here we are, led by a simple thought of taking a class at SCAC, has brought us to our success, which we are celebrating tonight. As a minister of God at Freedom Holiness Church here in San Carlos, I want to leave you with this, a small portion of scriptures from the Holy Bible. Philippians 4:8. Fix your thoughts on what is good and true and right. You see, we are shaped in large part by our thoughts. Proverbs 23:7 states that as he thinks within himself, so is he. God designed us so that our thoughts have an impact on every aspect of life, meaning that positive thoughts bring positive effects, and negative thoughts take everything away. Good positive thoughts give us opportunity to be successful. So let's make the most of this opportunity. Just think Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thought of peace and not of evil, to give an expected end. The latter part of Philippians 4. If anything is excellent or worthy of praise, think about those kind of things. See, my faith in God and belief in these scriptures led me here today. For many years, I thought I was not made for college. And I've proven myself wrong. For many years, I thought I wasn't good enough for higher education. I've proven myself wrong. For many years, I thought that I would not go back to school again tonight. I've proven myself wrong. Nothing or no one can stop you. Only you will. So always imagine yourself to do great things. Believe that you can do it, because there is hope for a successful future. Thank you and God bless you.
Wow, that was awesome. That was awesome. Excellent speech. Thoughts make us behave the way we do. Positive thoughts bring positive impact. And then imagine yourself doing great things. Thank you, Trena. That was excellent speech. I enjoyed listening to it. Now we have move forward with the conferring of degrees with Dr. Lisa Yutzi, Vice President of Academics and Provost, followed by the turning of tassels with Dr. Ahumada.
Good evening. Trena, you did such an amazing job. I'm proud of you. As San Carlos Apache College's Chief Academic Officer, I have the honor of calling you up to the stage in a few minutes to receive your diplomas. I have gotten to know each of you over the past several years, and I am so proud of each one of you. Of course, the COVID-19 pandemic presented many challenges to colleges across the country, and ours was no different. But the real burden was on students, especially students in Indian country, where reliable internet isn't a guarantee, even if you pay for it. It doesn't always work. I think we all know that. So your accomplishments are all the more significant because you finished degrees that you started face-to-face in an online format. You were thrown a curveball and you just kept right on going. Before the pandemic, I remember that the four of you were always on campus, especially in the evenings after you got off work, using computers, taking classes. Talking with many of you during those late evenings is how I got to know each of you about your academic work ethic, your huge family responsibilities, and for many of you, your full-time jobs. I know, and I know the audience here agrees, that all four of you can be whatever you want to be in this world. Trena spoke to that. What each of you want, what you have communicated clearly with our staff, is to give back to your communities, to find a way to make a difference for people. I know that none of you plans to stop your education. Several of you are starting classes again on Monday. Each of you will be pursuing higher degrees with and beyond Apache College. Our college has given you a solid foundation. You have learned about your unique history as Apaches. You are learning to speak, read, and write your language, and you are learning where your strength comes from. Each of you have learned how to learn. And once you can do that, you can learn anything if you work at it. So graduates, please stand. Our first graduate this evening is Trena Antonio with an Associate of Arts degree in Liberal Arts. Michelle Bartlett, Certificate in Social Services. Nadia Logan, Certificate in Social Services. And Carmela Thompson, Certificate in
Graduates, turn the tassels.
Let's come forward. Let's come forward.
Turning of the tassels. Wonderful. Think of the billions of neurons.
Next on the agenda we have Rebecca Swift, Director of Student Services and Librarian, as well as Annette Izey, Director of Business Affairs and the CFO for the college, with congratulatory remarks for the graduates.
To bend down here. Good evening, graduates, Tribal Council, Apache College board members, and my community. Let me first thank you, graduates, for completing your 2-year degree or your certificate with Apache College. We are honored that you are part of our student body. You have taken advantage of the tribal college that is right here in your backyard. You may have struggled in your last semester. You may have faced challenges while completing your online classes. You may have had internet connection issues or problems with your computer, but you found a solution. You hung in there. You used your ingenuity to exceed and succeed, and here you are. Enjoy the feeling of success. Enjoy the feeling of pride. This is a step closer to bigger life goals. Maybe some of you are done with just your associate's degree. We hope not. Or yet, you may be contemplating the next educational chapter in your life, which may be the opportunity to work toward a bachelor's degree. If you are, I'm rooting for you. You have proven to yourself that you can go on to the next level. This degree is for you, but in reality, it's for your children. It's for you are their role models. This degree is also for your families, for you may be the first to complete a college degree. You have opened the door for other family members to follow. This degree is for your tribe. It's knowing that you are now an emerging leader in your community. One day, you may be a professor at Apache College or a teacher at the school district. You may be a future business owner. You may be an accountant or a nurse. Setting goals for your next adventure is in your hands. Keep moving forward and enjoy what you have accomplished. Thank you and congratulations, class.
June, Lakoya, St. Carlos Apache College, Dahqodiyot. Koya hadepe ani yundasyu dego he beg ogostolas. Dawe Dahqodiyot. Dandasyu dego Nagoriyat de Noyakojodalas. The Hayuna Dayu. Now I will say it in English. Thank you for choosing St. Carlos Apache College for your college education. May you take with you what you learned here in your future journey. And may you walk in harmony. Continue with your education so that you may be successful in life. May you be blessed wherever you go.
Thank you for that. Use your ingenuity to be successful in life. Just a combination of Rebecca and Annette's remarks. Now we have Dr. Yutzi, who will present a special award.
Speak right to the mic.
Good evening again, everybody. Almost done. So, at many colleges throughout the country, on the evening of commencement, faculty are honored in specific ways. Last year, we didn't do this. We had a great commencement last year. It was amazing, our virtual commencement. But we neglected to start a very important tradition. And that tradition, moving forward, will be naming a Faculty of the Year during the commencement exercises. And I'm really honored. I'm not going to leave it a secret who it is. Tonight we're here to honor Miss Kathy Kitchian. Who of course really needs no introduction in this community of people. However, you know, Kathy has a long and esteemed career working in education, health, government, of course, the nonprofit sector, and of course she was the very first female chairwoman of the San Carlos Apache tribe. In many ways, I think her job as a professor with San Carlos Apache College is kind of a culmination of a lot of her life work and goals. And what an amazing mentor figure she is for me, our students, everyone who comes in contact with her. One of my favorite noises in the entire world is Kathy's laugh. There it is. She just did it. You can't be upset when Kathy laughs. And I do know from studying some of the history from before I had any connection with the tribe that when Kathy was chairwoman, she wanted to make higher education a priority and something that was attainable for tribal members. And I'm so happy she's with us. She's an amazing professor. I still can't believe that she converted her classes to online. She just said, "What do you need, boss?" And she didn't miss a beat. If there was a bad day with technology, she just came back with a smile the next day. I'm so proud of what she's done for us over the past year and what she will continue to do for us as our Apache language faculty. And we have, hopefully folks will be able to see it. Just a second. Can you hold this up? Okay. Yeah. Probably going to be a little hard to see, but people could maybe see it this evening. We have this crystal award for her, honoring her as our Faculty of the Year.
All right. Thank you very much.
Kathy, one more gift. We also, and there's no one like Kathy, you know, when I reflect on how blessed we are to have come this far as a new college, to be here with the legendary, amazing Apache people. When I think of the blessing of having someone of the caliber of a Kathy teaching on serving as a full-time faculty member, I have to pinch myself sometimes. It's just amazing. At any rate, another part of the gift, recognizing you as a Faculty of the Year award, is a check for $500. But in order for you to get it, you must laugh for us. There you go. So you do. So it's an honor to present to you a $500 gift that you can use anywhere.
There's two of you. It should be 1,000.
You can see the right values are being cultivated. We're so proud to have you as our Faculty of the Year. Thank you.
Thank you very much to my colleagues. Thank you to the students especially. You've made my day awesome. I've had many challenges in my life, and this past year with the pandemic has not been a happy one for my family. However, it was the students that kept me going. It was the students that kept me smiling. And I really appreciate that. Thank you to all of you. Thank you, Dr. Ahumada. Thank you, Dr. Yutsi. The staff, the people I work with, they're awesome. And thank you to Global Miami Band. I really appreciate it. And God bless all of you.
In Apache, when you say bravo, you say Zafar. So, translation a little bit. Next, we have Kenny Kenton, Jared Kenton, Keaton Kenton, who will now sing an Apache song to honor our graduates.
London.
On behalf of the College Board of Regents, of which I am a former member, on behalf of Dr. Ahumada, Dr. Ritchie, the college staff, college professors, and current students, I want to say thank you for joining us in recognizing and celebrating the achievements of Trena Antonio, Michelle Bartlett, Nadia Logan, and my sister, Carmela Thompson. We hope tonight's commencement exercises encourage you to start your college career at San Carlos Apache College, as it exists to provide an excellent higher education experience rooted in Dahqodiyot, where upholding the power of Apache wisdom, and that's what our college is based on, and knowledge is at the center of everything they do. San Carlos Apache College has graduated 8 students in the last 2 years, and their hope is to graduate more in the future. Enroll now while tuition is free. I'm going to throw that in there too. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being in attendance to witness the accomplishment of the graduates. Good night, everyone, and have a safe trip home. Thank you for being here.